So thanks to you, I am going to read the Bible front to back. I did go to Catholic school, but we only read excerpts of it. I never really got it, front to back, and I think I'm gonna go with the NIV version of the Bible. What do you say to that?
I say power to you. Um, it's a huge endeavor, but I think it'll be a good one. There's a lot to learn from the Bible and very interesting things that I think some Christians don't even remember in there. I myself personally have never sat and read the Bible front to back. But obviously I've read a lot of what's in the Bible. And I've read it all sort of periodically over my life, but front to back. Do you mean like you're going to sit down and very intentionally like,
Page
this is
one,
my book?
page
Like,
two.
yeah.
Yes.
I must say that the first few books are actually interesting. Like I remember, I mean, they're all interesting in their own ways, right? But
No.
when I studied, when I studied theology, I had to read the first 5 books, and I just lapped it up. I thought it was so interesting. It's very like narrative.
Hmm.
This happened, and then this happened, and I enjoy that.
Yeah.
But
And I'm gonna give myself a year to do it because you can't just that can't be. I mean, if unless you're like Martin Luther or something like that, you could sit down and read the whole book as your book. But as an INTJ, I typically have like 4 or 5 books going at one time, so that'll just be like if I'm really wanting something uh, spiritual, or I would consider that dense to do. I want to include that in there. I just feel like not called to reading more about religion and theology, but it seems like something necessary to like round out that aspect of just life that I went to Catholic school, but it was so I didn't have any context for life when I was, 16.
mm,
I feel like I did it backwards. Like now is the time
yeah,
where I can
yeah,
be like, oh, I can put some of this stuff into action now.
yeah, yeah.
And I don't, this is not going to be a religious discussion. I decided to wear my Pope Pius X shirt though, and
Ah,
it
yes.
says disdain for modernists on it. So it's just like he was like one of the one of the popes that didn't like the way that where the church was going and was like all like
Hmm.
wanted it to still be in Latin and all that stuff. So
Yeah, 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 100% for sure.
anyways, so I just wanted
What
to start with that.
I mean, what was it that, just out of interest, what inspired you to make, like, what helped you to make this decision?
One is just I always like to set like a year-long goal that's difficult that you have to put conscious effort into every day thinking about doing that thing. So one year it was reading 100 books. This year it's like I am not having any coffee, and I'm also
Sorry, what?
yeah, I'm still having
Not having.
caffeine. Don't get me wrong.
Okay. Goodness
So my wife
me.
says like that doesn't really count as like you're not really giving up anything if you're still gonna have caffeine.
Oh,
But
that's
the
not true. Coffee
yeah,
is life.
it is life. It gives you it's life bringing. It's life it is life giving. And the other thing is I'm gonna give up porn.
Porn.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. And it's not candidly it's my generation is like grew up on that, and it's one of those things that almost became like a like get it together, man. So I was like, you know what? January 1st, purge. Basically a
Amazing.
reset. So what do you think about that?
So that's this year.
Yes.
I think that's fantastic.
Oh, and
Yeah, I think
alcohol. I'm
that's
not
awesome.
drinking alcohol this year either.
Oh, what?
I forgot. So I haven't had a drop since like December, and um no porn the whole year.
Wow. And how's that going for you? I think that's fantastic.
It feels a bit like superhuman stuff. Like I think I was like, oh, this is like the way that your mind is supposed to be. This is the way that things are
Mm,
supposed to like. These are the way your relationships are supposed to go.
mm. I love that.
Yeah.
What's been a change that you've noticed within yourself?
Um, I think definitely like productivity around like things that are important in life. Better relationship
Mm,
with my wife for sure.
mm,
Um, just learning that you can overcome things if you really just are intentional about it. And because I've done this, I've had less tolerance for people that say, well, I can't give up X. Like no matter what they say, I'm like, oh, I just can't give up. Like, trust me, you can. You just don't
You
want to.
can.
Have
Exactly.
you
You
ever done
just don't
something
want
like
to.
that before where you're just like, I am just cold turkey giving up something?
Cold turkey. The only time I've gone cold turkey would be when Lent comes around. So I always give up something during Lent. So I did, yeah. So I've given up things like coffee, chocolate, like those kinds of things. And then there've been destructive behaviors in my life that yeah, I've decided to quit. Yeah, and I mean, I relate to like literally exactly what you've said. It's like once you've realized, no, yeah, so behaviors and habits, I think. Even if it's just something like waking up, deciding to wake up every day at 7 a.m. for a period. Those things, right? Which if you actually just set your mind to it and you discipline yourself, you can do. So the human spirit is incredibly powerful. And, you know, once you sharpen that will and strengthen that will, not only do you learn that you can actually do anything, but like your self-respect goes up so much. Because you're like, I
Yes.
made a plan and I stuck to it and I'm sticking to this goal and I'm sticking to the promise that I said I was gonna do.
And I feel like I guarantee we're not going to have the same experience after we start doing those. Like we pile up little wins after little wins, and we go a little bit bolder, and we're like, well, if I can do this, like maybe I can try this, and that's kind of where I'm at. But then, like, I feel like as an INTJ, I further have contempt for others. But I mean, I don't think you would necessarily have that, but you're like, you'd be more encouraging, like, you can do it, I did it, and I'll tell you a story of how I did it, and you can do it, and be more encouraging. And mine would be
Mm,
less like, do your thing, man, whatever gets you through the day, and like just be like, whatever, like lost cause. I mean,
yeah.
do you, does that
You
make
weak
sense?
human.
Well, it's just like weakness and but is it worth, trying to get them there? Like I want to invest in this person because I know that they can achieve more than they thought.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you've just summarized the your read on me is 100% accurate. The amount of times I've been like, I gave this thing up, you can do it
Mm.
too. Like, you know,
Yeah,
put your mind to it.
I think
Um,
that's speaking of like giving up or quitting, like since I had my son, he's 13 months now and full-time job and writing the second book, I have, you know, anyone that follows me on YouTube is like, I have a video like every 40 days, 45 days. Like last one was like
yeah.
90 days. I'm like, wow, I mean, you know, maybe I should just stop doing YouTube. And then I was thinking like, I wonder if some like in not influencers, but someone at your level that has like over 52,000 subscribers and has quit your day job to do YouTube full time, ever still gets overwhelmed by YouTube and just goes, you know what? I'm done. I would want to quit. Have you ever thought about quitting? Do you have days where you want to quit?
Present tense, no, but in the first year, I had quite a few days where I wanted to quit. I just said this isn't worth it. The mental and emotional strain, um, how vulnerable I'm being, even though I wasn't being overtly vulnerable in the first year, in that I was sharing my heart online. I was just acting and writing, but you're putting yourself out there, you know, which feels vulnerable. And any person who's gone from just living a regular life to suddenly being known by thousands and thousands of people online and judged and people leaving comments is going to feel vulnerable and exposed. And I just wasn't equipped for that and the effects that that would have. And there's not really a lot of people out there talking about it. Um, there are some people, and actually a few of the influencers that I followed in the past have since come out since I've started YouTube. They've come out and said like they've been honest about the mental health struggles they've had with YouTube. And that's been really refreshing for me to hear. And that's made me be like, okay, this is a thing that other people are experiencing too, and kind of like reshift. Well, you know, it is a job. So of course you're gonna have you know, your own issues with it. I think at the beginning I was like, oh, I'm so blessed to do YouTube. I can't complain about it at all, or I can't think negative things about it. Or if I do complain, or if I do have my down days, it just means I'm not meant to be doing it. It's like, no, like, of course I'm doing what I love. I'm doing creativity, script writing, acting.
Yeah.
But I can't plan creativity. There's going to be some weeks where I don't actually feel like making a video. And at that point, it just feels like a grind, the same way that everything does, right? Especially with the amount of editing and the amount of like the editing and the subtitles and all that, like the stuff that you need to put into YouTube. It does just feel like a grind sometimes. It really, really does. These days, because I have a much healthier balance, the work-life balance is very good, and my mental and emotional detachment from YouTube is much better. I don't want to quit ever. As in like, not I don't want to quit ever. We know that I don't use NI, so I can only see a month in the future in any given. I do use it poorly. So I don't know if I'll ever quit, but it's been probably, I don't think I've thought once this year about quitting, just because I'm healthier. But yeah, I think it's just the mentality shift. It's okay if it feels like a grind sometimes.
Yeah. And you really just, I mean, do you think you've ever put out a video that you're like, that was forced?
Yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely. And I feel like you can tell sometimes, like those videos where I'm just wearing one outfit, I'm sitting in front of the camera, and it's like a 1-minute video, or like there's a short or something.
Right.
Yeah. And I feel like the audience can probably tell. But that's also been a journey. When I was trying to produce my best work every single week, I got much too overwhelmed with that. You've got to be okay with being like, this is my job. I'm creating something every single week. It's okay
Oh
if
my
not
gosh.
all of them are perfect, So
It seems like there is a directly inverse ratio of like, especially like on platforms where I'm at, like I'm on LinkedIn a lot and I do a lot of like networking, professional networking. If I take 30 seconds to think of content, it explodes. If I put a lot of effort into it, it just tanks, the algorithm hates it. And you're like, what is that about? Like, is it only because I think it's like so special, or is it like something about it's if you appeal to the broadest audience possible, that's better because it takes no thoughts to appeal to everyone. What do you have that, or do you ever
100%.
have
I
one where
think
you're like, this is gonna explode and it does?
I feel like I have a good idea. Like anything dating related is gonna not explode, but it's going to do well. Like
Okay.
for sure. Anything that's new, like I've just realized anything that has 16 personalities in the title, like 16 personalities or
Right.
16 those are the ones that get the most clicks. I try to do innovative things occasionally. Recently I've brought back the angel on the shoulder concept, which I'm really excited to take into other types.
Yep.
But yeah, those ones, because they're new and that's not the kind of video that people actually hit the subscribe button for, they don't do as well. But I mean, I did a video called 16 Personalities Flirting, and I knew intuitively that would do well.
Okay.
And because I knew it would do well, it was one of my off weeks where I was a bit drained. And so then all I did was just stand in front of a camera in the 16 different outfits. I didn't do like an interaction scene. I didn't use extra lighting. I just used the one camera. And it skyrocketed. That video did very, very well because it's
131,000 views. Yeah, I'm looking at right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then there are other concepts, like basically short films that I release. Like there was one I released recently, 16 Personalities Hold a Chaotic Household Meeting,
Yeah.
or In a Chaotic Household Meeting,
It's
where
12 minutes.
12 minutes. I had 16 personalities in the same room. Those ones are always so hard to like, and then like I really worked hard on the comedic timing of that. Like the script was 5 pages long. So I put in so much effort to that, but like that's, you can't guarantee it's going to do well, but that's the thing. You can't create being like, this is going to do well and expect that, because then you'll just resent the video when it doesn't,
Right.
and you'll just lose energy.
I've always struggled like with when I'm writing my second book, I've had so many, because I'm actually like hiring an editor, a real publisher that like knows what they're doing, and they're gonna
Oh,
format it. It's gonna look good, and she's an INTP. She's great. Like she knows publishing. She knows Amazon. She knows like what's working, what's trending. If you're gonna do nonfiction, here's what you have to do. But um, uh, what I was gonna say, I've totally forgot my train of thought. Where was I going with this? Oh, she's constantly asking me like, well, who's your audience? What's the demographic? And I'm like, I don't know. And I'm also like kind of writing it because I want to say it, but I have no idea if it's just going to be me saying it because I want to see what like how it looks on paper, more for me, not my audience. Do you think that sometimes you just do it because I want this to be done and out there, but I don't necessarily know or care if my audience loves it?
100%.
Really,
Absolutely.
there's some that you just do for you.
Yeah, yeah. You've got to. This is the thing, to stay engaged in YouTube. You've got to be doing you. Like, you've got to be doing what makes you passionate and keeps you. If I'm not doing something innovative or creative or releasing a part of my heart, not or like soul in a way into a project, then I'm not like, yeah, I'm not enjoying YouTube. Like I released 16 personalities through the eyes of the INFJ recently,
Hmm.
and I put like so many different layers into that video, so many different layers, and including like I had numbers in each shot which added up to like a code at the end of the video. And because I wanted people to like read into the video like INFJs read into everything.
Right.
um and for me, I was like, I just really love putting all these layers in, and I was like, are people going to get these layers? I don't know, and I don't particularly care. I wanted people to get the layers, but in the comments it was very clear that people weren't able to crack the code, and a lot of them just didn't even get the layers. But I was like, that's the kind of video where, obviously having made something like, I don't know, I've probably made like 180 or almost 200.
195.
95. Goodness me. You've done your research. I like this.
What's right on there? Yeah.
195. Yeah, yeah. 195 videos at this point. Like, some of them I don't even like, I'll get to reading the comments eventually, but it's not like I'm not enthusiastic about it because I'm like, that wasn't my best work. That was just a filler video. But with the videos that have like, that I did for me, I'm like refreshing the comments every second. I'm like, what did people think of this? What did they think of this new innovative style that I tried, or this new different approach that I tried? Or so you've got to keep doing that. You've got to keep doing that. 100%.
Speaking of reading the comments, like sometimes I read comments, and I'm like, this person should really do their own stuff because it's way better than the crap I just put out. Like in terms of my like not creativity, but just like, oh, that's such a great thought about a thing. You should make a channel and do that yourself. Why am I, who can barely articulate a thought on on YouTube, like the person that has to get like it should be reversed. You should be doing this. Do
Mm.
you ever just see like such an insightful comment? You're like, man, like that's too good for the comments. That needs to be, you know, you need to be making your own content. I don't know. That I feel like that all the time. Like, man, I'm not that. I think I'm smart, but then I get humbled in the comments.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, that's implying that I would read comments and have some, and that would lead me into some like greater thought. But that's not how it goes for me. I just read the comments. But I mean, yeah. But at the same time, it's like, we all have. I was talking to someone literally the other day, and
You were talking to someone the other day. Hold on.
yes, I was.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
huge. I know. I like literally the other day, I was talking to someone literally the other day.
You should do a video about that.
Yeah, and I was talking about Skillshare because I was preparing the sponsorship,
Yep.
and this person was like, yeah, Skillshare, man. Like, I came up with that idea years ago. I'm so mad that I didn't put it into practice. And I'm like, this is the thing. Like, so many of us just exist and have idea, like $1 million ideas, but it's about who's actually gonna go out and do them, So yeah, there are so many different ideas. But I don't actually think I don't think I'm particularly like, I know I'm quite good at like writing
Yes.
scripts, right? But I know I can act, but I don't think I'm particularly well versed like my nuance with MBTI stops after a point. I haven't dived into those deeper theories. I hardly read any books on it. It's
Hmm.
very much like observational based. And I mean, that's what people appreciate. It's an SE sort of
Hmm.
application of Myers-Briggs. But I think so many times I'm like, gosh, there's so many people with better knowledge on Myers-Briggs than me that should be making these videos. But
Oh,
also
how interesting.
I'm like, I just happen to be in a point in my life where I actually put it into practice and made it happen. And not everyone has that ability or that passion because they
Hmm.
have the knowledge for Myers-Briggs, but they don't have the vision of how to make it into a video.
Yeah.
And I happen to have that, and it was a blessing. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's great. Yeah, because I've always been not really publicly critical, but sometimes I'm like, I'll see a video that's so in the weeds of the theory that doesn't have any views, and I'm like, well, that might be once again, that's for you. You made it, so you made it. You're not trying to get, you're not trying to be uh have a million views on what SI looks like as the daemon function. Like it's not going to be
Mm,
it sounds like interesting, but most people aren't going to click on it. It's too in the weeds.
yeah. Yeah, that's right. And it's a shame because I mean it's a shame. But yeah, it's something I've definitely had to learn. Like again, that angel on the shoulder concept where I have one type and all of their
Hmm.
functions are angels on their shoulders. When I released that recently, I was like, you know what though? Actually, a lot of people who are clicking on 16 personalities videos don't know or care about the cognitive functions.
Yeah.
Even that level of it. And I'm like, well, this is depressing. Am I just then perpetuating stereotypes? But you just gotta
Oh, I
kind of
just
accept your role.
yeah, and I discovered like, and this is probably not even a hot take at all, but like, when I first saw Frank James, he knows the functions, he doesn't talk about them, but it makes the videos better. You have to use that.
Yeah,
So
for
like,
sure.
but would knowing the 8 function model help you? Maybe, but um, I want to take a complete 720, 2 spins, and then a 180 and go somewhere different. Um, a question I want to ask you, because I think this is like, it's not a way I judge people. I just like evaluate what you care about in life. It's a question I started asking people back in 2016, which was, um, who are the 5 people you'd want to meet that are alive? And they cannot be fictional. I haven't asked you this, have I?
I feel like you haven't.
Okay.
Um, yeah. And it's funny
And
because
why? And why? I want to hear why. And it's not like, oh, they're all at a dinner table together and you're having a conversation. It's just like, if you could spend some amount of time with X person, dead or alive, you only have 5 choices. Who would they be and why?
so viewers, I think it's important for you to know that Joe told me pre-camera that he would ideally not like to edit this video.
No.
And now he's just asked me a question that I've never thought about. And so the pressure to immediately I I think I think
Let
what I
me
would
let
say
me
to your
help
question.
you. Let me help you. Just so
Mhm.
that in case you want to think of some. When I asked this question, I did like a 30-page paper on it for myself.
Shocking.
And it was the top 10 people that were picked.
Yourself.
Well, I
Right.
never published it.
Yeah.
Most people pick very generic answers that would not shock you. After you choose, I'll tell you who the top 5 were. But um, the one thing I'll say is you don't always have to pick good people because you could pick anyone. So you have all the people that ever lived. Go ahead, tell me who you would.
Okay. So I think it's important for you to understand how little I think about possibilities that aren't real to me. Like how little I think about stuff like this. Like I am like very content with how my life is right now. It's not like I spend my time thinking, gosh, who would I love to meet? Because it's just something that I'm never going to do. Like, I just know that's never actually going to happen. So what's the point of thinking about it? That's how little I think about stuff like this. So I don't even know. Like, I feel like I've met all the people I want to meet. Every day I'm like, yeah,
So
I've met all the people.
you've met Jesus? You wouldn't
Oh,
choose
yeah,
him?
no. Yeah, no. But okay.
That's one.
So I was getting to that.
Oh,
That would be
sure.
my choice. That would be my first choice, obviously. But
Okay.
I do believe I have met Jesus because I
Oh,
have a relationship with him.
okay.
But yeah,
Okay.
no, I would love to meet him in person as he was as a human human being on this earth
Yeah.
during his ministry on earth
Right.
for sure. But you said
They can't be
did you say they
fiction.
have to?
Dead or alive. Dead or alive.
Jesus ain't fiction.
I know. So they can't be fiction. So you
Oh,
can't pick
dead or
somebody.
alive. Okay, dead or alive.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that part of the question for some
Yeah.
reason. Okay. Who else would I want to meet? Oh, okay. So, I think I'd want to meet. Wait, what if I've already met them but they've died? Like, what if I want to sit down and have a chat with them again after?
We could. No. No.
Oh, what?
You can't have
Come on,
met them
you gotta
before.
work with my SE
No,
here.
it's not part of the
Okay.
rules. First person ever asked that though. That's weird that I
Well, I was
haven't
gonna
heard that
say
yet.
my grandparents. I would love to sit down and chat to all of them again. But anyway, now that I'm a grown woman who like has learned about life,
Right.
yeah, and I'd love to hear their life stories and like actually pay attention properly in a new way. But anyway, so Jesus for sure. Who else would I want to meet? I don't know. Like the saints. Oh, for sure. Okay, I'd love to meet Saint Therese of Lisieux. I'd love to meet Saint Augustine.
That's 4.
And
You got one more.
who did I say? I said Jesus, Saint Therese, Saint Augustine.
And okay, so your parent okay, the grandparents don't count. Okay, so 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Although, yeah, I didn't actually meet one of my grandparents ever.
Okay, so do you want to put them?
I will put that
Okay, so
grandparent
4, you
as
got
my
one more.
fourth. And yeah, I'm literally just thinking of saints right now. Which saint? Oh, how do I choose the last one?
But Job.
Oh, no, not Job. If I could guarantee that St. Thomas Aquinas was going to share with me his profound spiritual experiences, I would choose him because he was famously private about that. But he clearly had a very rich spiritual life, but he was such an introvert. So if he was actually going to share with me,
Oh, yes. I'll give you that. He would tell you.
I mean, I'd probably choose him anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, but not in like a idle way, just like a teach me about the Lord
Right.
kind of way.
That's great.
No, wait. I'm changing that one. No, wait, I'm changing that one. Sorry. So take St. Thomas Aquinas out and St. Mary Magdalene. I'm choosing
okay.
St. Mary.
There you go. Ask her the tough questions.
Yeah. See, again, I just want to meet. I don't know what your, I guess, factors you'd be considering when answering this question are, but for me, I'm like, I just want to meet people that are going to help me with like live a better life. So I could learn from the saints how to live a better life and like incorporate the faith and get sort of strength from them and inspiration and motivation from them.
Yeah, not me at all.
You're just curious?
Yeah, like my criteria would be like world-changing people, good or bad, like, or people that just like, what was the motive? Like, I gotta hear it, or like, I want to hear it from the mouth of a person that never wrote anything down.
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
like, Genghis Khan or Attila the Hun. These are people that there's no written anything about them. Were they actually bad? Like Vlad the Impaler. Like what was his deal? Like was he that bad of a person? Julius
Do you
Caesar.
believe that?
Do
you believe that people can be all bad?
No, that's just impossible.
Yeah.
So it's more like historically people that have like, okay, they're like a lot of people in this assessment that I did chose Hitler. They're like, I want to know. They want to talk to him because wouldn't that be more interesting than Drake that a lot of kids chose? And I'm like, well, you could actually meet them, and that would be horrible because then you'd waste your 5 guesses on a person you could go pay for VIP tickets and meet them, and they're not going to tell you much.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you're younger and you haven't learned about life and suffering and pain and like haven't considered big abstract concepts, of course you just want to meet your idol. Like if you'd asked me when I was 15, I'd give different answers.
Right. I guess that's and the demographic breakdown was interesting because I had like college students, and then I had a lot of people that were like boomers in their like 60s and 70s, and like 90% of them chose Abraham Lincoln, and like
how have you been interviewing these people? Have you just put it on like Reddit or?
No, I friends and family asking other people. So like I had a couple people and they just kept asking,
Ah,
and um,
okay.
my wife had a class of students that she just asked the entire class. So there's like 30
Wow.
kids right there. Um, so it's just to me, it's like, what does our culture care about? That was my main thesis. Was like, what do people actually care about when you ask them? Like, you only get 5 people. Do they want to know? Do they want to meet a celebrity, an athlete, a philosopher, a scientist? And some people had like the number one response was family members that they never met.
Mm.
Then
Mm.
then then the big guy upstairs, then Abraham Lincoln, then like George Washington, and then Obama. This is also at
Mm.
2016, so it's like that's also a time thing. Like,
Interesting.
yeah. So
What
I
was the
just
reason for wanting to meet, like, what's the overarching reason? Obviously, I know the reason why people would want to meet their family members and God, but like political figures, or like what's the most common reason that you will hear? Because you said those three are the most common and they're all political figures.
yeah. It was just like because it was, but when you look at the demographic, it was people in their 60s, which is like classic American U.S. history was like idolizing Jefferson, Lincoln, and George Washington. Those are like the people that were founding, not even found, not all of them are founding fathers, but it's just like those are people I like. We all like them. Our whole generation likes them. And it was, you can
Okay,
just
but
tell.
was there something a bit deeper? Like
No.
why
Well, I
though?
didn't ask everyone. I didn't ask everyone like I asked you.
Fair enough.
So I just think it's a interesting concept. I want to remind myself to ask it because it's very interesting to see what people think is valuable to them. And you
What?
took it in a very good positive direction. It's like they would teach me how to be better.
Yeah. Well, for me, I'm just like, the only reason for me personally that I'd want to meet someone is if they can change my life in a way and help me to live better.
Hmm. Right.
Just being curious isn't a reason enough. Like it'd be nice, like if I had an opportunity to meet some of those people you mentioned,
Yeah.
I'd probably take it just so I could ask some questions. But
Right.
I don't know, it's just something I haven't really thought about. Who are your
That's
who are your five?
Napoleon, Julius Caesar, Attila the Hun, Hitler, and Ted Kaczynski, who just died.
Interesting.
Yeah. So controversial, definitely controversial. Definitely people that are like you either like there's a one view of them, but they would be interesting. Like that's the part I try to get out of people is like don't hold back because you think like, oh, I can't say this because people will think I'm weird. Like
Mm.
anyway, so
Yeah, no, yeah.
yeah,
I think your reasoning makes sense. Like, yeah, you wanna, you're curious as to why these people made the decisions they did, and like, let's search for good in them. Like, were they exactly the person that history portrays them as?
and we just know that they could not be exactly the way that history portrays them.
Yeah.
Especially if one was like a, one won, so the history portrays them, and history is always written by the winners. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah, that's right.
so it's like I want to
So
see,
interesting.
yeah, I want to see what the real thing was. So, but it's a thought experiment. Like, of course, SE would say that's a dumb question.
No,
Like that
not
will
dumb.
never happen. Why are you wasting our time with these petty questions?
See, it's not dumb. I actually like that we had that conversation because I like when someone encourages me to think about those things. It's just I wanted to say, I want you to know I've never thought about this. Just to sort of, as a precursor to me potentially umming and ahhing about it. Do you see what I mean?
Do you think there's a question that you would have for me that I haven't thought of? Like, wow, that is so, you know, SE that I've never contemplated that. Is there something that I want that you think about? And it's on the spot question, so you may not be able to come up with it, but it's like, what would an NI user just never think about? Have no thoughts about.
Well, SE is kind of like getting out of the head.
Right.
Like my life is, if I'm having a day where I'm just out and about, I'm out of my head completely and engaged in just what's around me.
Hmm.
So my question would probably, rather than being a thought experiment or something about an idea, to probably be like, why can't you just get out of your head and have some fun? Like probably something like that. But I'd have to think more about it. And I'm not asking you that because your
Right.
personality is beautiful the way that it is, and I don't think you need to
Oh
change.
goodness. But
But
I'm
that's probably
yeah.
more along the lines.
Okay. Yeah, that's just because there are certain things I'll see that I'll be like, I've never ever thought about that. And it usually is more sensory details. Like that's why I like body language as like a study or neuroscience. And I've recently had my brain scanned with
Yeah, I saw that.
Dario Nardi, and I was like, this is because I'm not a scientist, and I think that's weird for an INTJ because many INTJs love science and the data, but I'm not a man of science. But when I did the neuroscience stuff, I'm like, that is such a cool way to kind of take a scientific approach that doesn't take away from the theory and it just adds another cool layer. But it further solidified my conviction that it is inborn and there are like biological and chemical things that happen in your brain and the way that you think that you can deduct back to You could say like, look, TI users, I saw an ESTP brain
Mm.
try to do tasks and all they could do is filter everything through TI. So like a part of their brain, like P4 region that does logic, everything filtered through that. Like creativity, speech, listening to music, writing, like, doing math. It like couldn't not use TI. So like when he was doing word association, the brain just couldn't figure it out. And I was like, this is hilarious because we can prove that certain types have certain functions they use all the time, which can cause social problems, which can cause problems where they don't understand literally what you're saying.
Wow.
Let me come here. We're doing a live video. It's okay.
No.
Oh, okay. Oh,
No.
he's a naked baby.
Oh,
You, you need to go to bed. Huh?
oh, what a cutie.
You want to say something?
Hi.
Okay. Well, he usually screams,
Oh
but
my
no.
word.
All right,
What
go
a
to mama.
cutie.
Do
Oh
you want? Well, here's the last
gosh.
question I'll ask. Do you want kids someday? How
Absolutely.
many?
Absolutely. As many as the good Lord provides. Classic Catholic answer. I honestly, again, like that's not something I've thought about. Like, I guess sometimes I've thought about it, like how many would I want, but I don't have enough attachment to an answer to that question.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think gosh, and I do you, it's interesting. I met some INTJs recently that when I did the video about why the INTJs should become parents, I got so much pushback. Going like, oh my gosh, no, I need all this time to read and explore, and there's kids are all SE, and I was like, man, that's kind of crazy. And I was wondering, like, you know, it's a bad stereotype of the INTJ. It's like, I think if you like yourself, you should want to make more things like yourself.
Okay, that's such an interesting way to think about it.
Is that not
Oh, but
is that not sound logic?
if you like yourself, you should want to make more of yourself. I've never ever thought about having children like that. Yet.
Yes, he's being a bad boy right now.
You, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to focus with this cutie in the background.
Yeah, now that he's walking, he's destroying everything.
Relatable. That's me on just like any day of the week. Nah.
So,
Cute.
now that you've
No, wait, hang on. Wait.
yeah, go ahead,
Pause.
go ahead.
I thought of another thing to say when you were like, what's a question that would shock you that you maybe hadn't thought about when we were thinking about questions that would be.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, maybe something like, do you ever just go a day like, oh yeah, maybe just, do you ever just go a day without thinking? You're just so present you don't think. That maybe would be like, absolutely not. Or maybe the difference between us we'd find in terms of the questions we might ask each other. Maybe the difference would be more in the TF sort of realm.
Mm.
Like for instance, a question I would ask literally every person if I could and if it was socially acceptable is, what is the number one biggest traumatic incident in your life and how has it affected your emotions and
No, I'm still talking to
relationship?
her. No, we're still recording. But the baby just decided that he was gonna. Okay, ask.
Cute.
All right, ask it again. If traumatic event, and then what?
Well, it'd be like, what is your number one traumatic incident in your life, and how has it affected your emotional relatability to people and your relationships on a personal emotional level? That's just such an
Oh,
interesting question to me. But it's like,
mm.
some people, especially maybe teens, don't think about that stuff very often.
Well, I think it'd be easy to logically tell you what that incident was, but then the second part is the part that it's like, okay, so how did it affect all the relationships with people after the
Yeah,
event, right?
yeah,
Um,
100%. I think about that extensively, that kind of stuff.
Based on big life events or every event afterwards, like a download.
Okay, that, but also small little events that you wouldn't even be aware have affected your relationships. Like everything we've been through in the past, like especially any kind of little mild traumatic incident puts, we're walking around with walls up, vulnerability walls.
Hmm.
We're all kind of somewhat terrified of being vulnerable. What is contributing to your walls being up, basically? Not you personally, but people
Right.
in general. I love that. And it's something I naturally do when I meet someone. I intuitively can see whether they've got that emotional vulnerability wall up or not. And I'm
Mm,
always curious as to what has led them to be there.
that's a great. No, I think I could go all the way with that question and just be like, it's this in my past, it's this person that did this to me. I'm the way I am because of this. The reason that I will deflect is because I'm pretty sure I've done that level of deep dive into
Mm.
myself to answer that. Um, I think we will have to save that for the next time because
Yeah.
as you all saw Aiden come in here, he is ready for bed and I have to help with
Oh.
bedtime.
Oh, sad.
Um, no, because we can't talk about all the good things and we have to wait another 9 months to do our next video. But
The
but
call out.
well, I don't even remember, but it seems like it was that long ago.
Yeah.
Um, so dear Kristen, thank you. I think this is gonna be unedited, even with all the distractions. I'm gonna keep this
Really? Oh,
unedited,
okay.
and we'll just stop here, and I will thank you for being with me as always.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that we didn't even touch on like some of the key things we were going to talk about because we just went on other topics. But it'll just mean we have to make another appointment.
Yes.
But yeah, this is fun. I love chatting to you. So always a pleasure.